Brandon Farley at 1:33 in the morning, May 20th on Wednesday. We're taking a look through incognito mode to this Twitter account, ECONBRKFST, written by Nicholas Lee, economybreakfast@gmail, or at Proton Mail, and that's it, spelled out economy breakfast. So, do you want to set this up, Brandon?
Well, it's kind of hard to decipher because it is just pretty much like a broken record. If you read the same tweets a month ago, 2 months ago, you're pretty much reading the exact same tweets as what's happening every single day today. But just to put it into context, I've had an online stalker since September of 2019, one who eventually in December of 2019 ended up coming to my house with a camera, with an older man who's a total creep, to basically, harass me and talk about my genitalia on this slideshow projection, which is sexual harassment. But then, since then, he's just been relentless, completely relentless with his posts about me, and I don't even really give him the light of day. I mean, I used to email him just in response to some of his crazy, ridiculous accusations, but it was all satirical. I even told him in the emails that this is just satire; it's not to be taken seriously, and he even acknowledged that in his tweets. But it's still has gone so far as to use these fake parody type emails as a reason to play this someone who feels like he's getting attacked, when really it's just I'm the one who feels like I'm constantly getting attacked. But if you look at his, it's just how do you even start? Where to start?
Okay, well, 12 hours ago, for one thing, the tweets seem to be an all-day obsession, and sometimes he'll go away for like a 4-hour nap or a 6-hour nap. But sometimes he'll wake up, he seems to have erratic hours. He'll wake up at 3 in the morning and start tweeting. Yeah. And so, say 12 hours ago, here's one that says, Mary Ang at Brain Garbage could still choose to show a modicum of decency. I mean, originally when he started blogging like this, microblogging on the Twitter platform, I felt like, well, wait a minute, my Brain Garbage account is how journalists from all over the world reach me, how people I worked with years ago, how I look up tweets, how I hashtag court cases. My Twitter account is much more serious than this. My Twitter account is not something that I want salacious gossip. Like, if you want a list of anyone I've been romantically linked to, I can give you a really good gossip article. But this sort of salacious sexualization of me and focus on me in the context of me basically being against cyberbullying was just like, oh, it was stunning.
It's like a strong activist scares Econ Breakfast or something. I mean,
well, I wouldn't mind inspiring Econ Breakfast. I think the obsession with me has to come from some kind of inspiration. And in some ways, I could look at the positives of being stalked. But I'm the kind of person that I make a positive out of other people's negatives. I think he's successfully driven me off Twitter. I rather do YouTube. I rather find a medium where I'm not being harassed constantly. Everything I do on Twitter now is screenshotted, which is very secret police. And actually, you know what I wanted to do for a video is I wanted to just retweet some of your tweets, Farley, publicly on a YouTube, and just let's as an experiment for how do I deal with the prospect of the mega harassment that might be incurred from having to just know that basically it's a form of censorship, because basically freedom of association. Econ Breakfast, Nick Lee, isn't my male guardian. He isn't the one who permits me to like a tweet. But because of his highly restrictive, misogynistic attitude towards what the person he wants to call Mary Yang sometimes, Mr. Yang sometimes, he has an obsession with trans identity that I think is a violation of the principle of trans rights. Stop obsessing on someone's private identity. That is an invasion of privacy. Oh, I want to fix the brightness. It's too dull. Anyway. So, Farley Media, have you tweeted anything interesting lately?
No, I'm keeping my tweets to a minimal, maybe like two a day, two or three a day, but
Yeah.
even those are enough to spawn like 30 threads from Econ Breakfast's page. So, I
Wow.
mean, I guess in a way, what little I do produce now is still I'm acting as a muse for this.
Right, and there's the reactivity. Like, there's something called the Hawthorne effect. Once you know you're being observed, you act differently. And under the light of the painful exposure of the hyper surveillance of the econ breakfast state surveillance state, which has embedded inside so-called anti-fascism, it's not. It's kind of like when if you've ever had a boss that likes to micromanage you and like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. It's that kind of feeling of being micromanaged. It's just like, oh, okay, like, and I think maybe that's a power rush for Econ. I think Econ maybe likes feeling like he can sort of control and intimidate and coerce either, if not silence, like some kind of I don't know. I think he's silencing people, and that's what he wants to do. And should I say congratulations?
Yeah, I mean, you guess it took you a while, but you're an effective silencer, Econ, because now I don't even want to get on Twitter.
Well, and what happens with repression? Like we've studied like Stalinism, repression. If you silence the free press, there will be an underground press. If you silence classical music, there will be a different composer. Like even composers, ballet was sometimes considered to be potentially dissident, and this type of repression tactics is fundamentally un-American, and it's kind of interesting that this is going on here on Twitter, on the internet, where the internet was built by people who celebrated flourishing freedom of expression and freedom of
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a free platform that's being tarnished by people with malicious intent who are using this uh, resource, this tool, which should be an information tool, as a way to exploit people and terrorize them, while all the while like embedding your own ads periodically throughout this campaign of harassment, thinking that, oh, what you present as a product to people, like you're going to harass people all day on Twitter, like individuals, and then ask your audience of however many 1,700 to pay for your shitty T-shirts or your coffee mugs with its.
I like the art stuff, the art kitsch. It's cute. And like say I play devil's advocate for
The
this
quality is shit. Just use a different website. Like
for the sake of debate. Say I play devil's advocate and say, oh yeah, Econ Breakfast has the total right to block you and completely blog about you as if he's a tabloid journalist and you're Brad Pitt and you're so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
You have the
Brad
right.
Pitt probably gets annoyed at paparazzi, like showing up. Oh, what kind of latte are you drinking? Like,
But there isn't a Brad Pitt exclusive paparazzi member. They diversify. Like,
yeah,
this person is.
you know, but there were some specialists regarding Princess Diana. I mean, she had journalists who would go out of the world to get the right shot of her, and yeah, I don't want to repeat myself, man. Yeah, how Kate Moss had like, but I think this is just econ, and I sometimes think, go ahead.
Well, and then they were also probably getting paid for striking a picture with Princess Diana or someone who's actually famous. But,
Right. Yeah.
the Econ is just doing it for the thrill, hoping that one day I'll respond accordingly. Like, just have had enough, or I don't know.
Or like there's the possibility that maybe if he talks about us enough, he's going to get some kind of cachet from talking about us, like name dropping Farley, name dropping Eng, and does that I'm not even on your radar? Maybe even if you're criticizing, to me, criticizing someone is also a compliment, because if I was truly nothing, you would just dismiss me completely. I wouldn't be worth talking about. Why is it that what I have to offer or what I did or what I might do is interesting?
Well, and we could do a thought experiment. Just I might have to create a false account or a fake account and just have it be of someone who just takes a slight interest in me, but is also, you know, would have nothing to do with the stuff that I'm filming.
Okay, so what do we have here? Your account looks kind of boring. You look kind of silenced. Let's look at Econ's. Oh, like, what do we have?
I'm not
Like,
posting much of anything.
yeah, so hilarious notion. Oh God, the Chris Ponte thing. See, I don't support Chris Ponte saying in 16 months he basically implying, or so you would infer that he might do something. I don't support that. But I think what I understand is there's simmering disgust and anger for the tactics that are so punitizing and punishing and stalking and privacy invasion. And I think the emotion of, hey, stop doing this, hey, stop getting in people's faces, kind of like sympathize with that emotion, even though I don't support the implicit threat or the unstated and implicit threat. Yeah.
If anyone has screenshots.
So it's not as if Aang at Brain Garbage would be harmed in any way by honoring my many requests. I'm being polite as I can be given the circumstances, not to steal my footage to claim I'm projecting a Jeremy Christian fantasy onto Farley, etc. Maybe I need to tweet him, not tweet him, but just steal this film. It's a really good film about the Pirate Bay.
I really think these collages are just
he's stealing your image. Yeah. The original, okay, if you're going to play copyright law, let's play a game of copyright law. You're stealing his image, you're stealing his name, you're appropriating his likeness without his permission, without his manager's permission, without any contract, without any royalty. You are the thief if you want to play copyright law. So saying that you own this footage and that I'm stealing it, you already stole that in your for purposes of your defamation and monetization scheme, or monetizing your defamation.
And I kind of have to call out Econ Breakfast right now for doing the exact thing that he accuses others of, which is monetization off of their creative property. There is such thing as fair use, which Econ has no concept of. And furthermore, you've done the exact same thing. I recorded you getting splashed in the face at Pioneer Square by Katie Weisberg, which was hilarious, by the way. I loved it. I could see it play over and over again in slow motion. But you took that clip, pinned it on the top of your page, and put a PayPal link on it. You cut out my own watermark. Literally cut out my watermark.
Whoa.
And you're trying to like say that, and I think you even put Econ Breakfast on. Like this, what you've done is trampled on my creativity. Yes, my creativity involved you getting splashed in the face with water, but you were part of the public scene. You were part of the landscape, so it was my decision how I decided to interpret that and put it into the world. But you stole that from me, and you're trying to profit. So how are you any better?
One thing I feel on when I really realized this, because I'd seen it, and it's got all these complicated threads, but I'm really listening, and I'm like, wait a minute. He's calling the Portland police to allege that you are this dangerous person who might become this murderer, throat slasher, Jeremy Christian, based on what is this very trick question style of questioning, saying something, Jeremy Christian. You can go back and look at the exact words, but it's like, wait a minute, that's a setup question, and that's not the same as a correct threat assessment. An incorrect threat assessment is getting borderline close to like false police report. You don't set somebody up on a fake threat assessment and then falsify the actual threat level, unless you're a poor analyst, which I believe Nick Lee to be a poor analyst of information.
He's a deceiver. He's not poor at anything. He just wants to put me in a bad light and make me look like a piece of shit to the officers, of which his fan base claims that all of them are bastards. So you're not even really. All you're doing is just targeting me and not even listening to your own audience.
Right.
But I had a 20-minute conversation with this police officer about you, Nick Lee, and he was fine with me. The guy was fine with me. Okay, Brandon Combs, Officer Brandon. And it's funny that he would go to an Officer Brandon for his troubles with Brandon. Like, it's, again, just perpetuating his obsession with me. But and the officer realized that, oh, I'm not crazy. I can actually be level-headed. What I said was hyperbole. It was, not meant to be taken seriously. And you're trying to do all these things to work the system, to work people, to financially manipulate your audience, and you're just a slime ball, really. It's just kind of toxic how really forceful and rapey you can be. And I'm using the word rapey because that's what it feels like.
I honestly felt the same too. And what I realized is the man who had sexually basically tried to force himself on me, I declined his advances, so he pinned himself on me and he forced his penis on me, and then he hired a lawyer to stalk and harass me and try to blame me for what was a sexual assault that I thought would turn into a penetrative rape. So what I was finally realizing, what Econ has done to my professional persona and career and perspective, Nicholas Lee, Econ Breakfast on Twitter, Economy Breakfast, I feel like, wow, am I being more traumatized than that assailant? Because with certain violent assaults, you get through the violent assault and then you move on with your life. But this is an ongoing nightmare. This is a daily pattern of abuse. We don't know when it will stop. Putting the police on notice, I thought might work because, hey, like, this is too much. They have been notified in case, it develops into something even worse. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of
These constant threats of, oh, you're going to involve a lawyer and do a lawsuit against both of us for what, first of all? And second of all, you couldn't find a judge in their right mind to accept any sort of false stalking order case that you try to present out on me, because it's just so ridiculously absurd that nobody's going to take you seriously. And once I show them the 1,000 emails in 7 months, or the 1,000 tweets with my name on it about me from you, then they're going to realize, oh, I'm the one getting stalked and harassed. Oh, and now you're trying to be like the abuser who's wants to be the victim in the eyes of the law, to further abuse the person that, I don't want to be a victim. I especially don't want to be your victim, Econ.
right. And I think one of my counteractive media strategies is, okay, let's do some video blogs and interviews. Let's do some Google pictures. He wants to demonize you. Someone else should humanize you. You're a human. And
we all are.
Yeah.
Econ, you may have some sociopathic qualities, but I know deep down inside you're just hurting. Like you probably, I don't want to say you cry, but I know you cry, dude. I know that this is a sad experience. You're alone. You just wanted me to pay attention to you, and you don't think you're good enough to maybe get the positive reinforcement, the positive attention from people. So you seek it out negatively, and really, it's an act of desperation on your part. I think you should get help. I think if you're really that alone, if you're that lonely, that you have to try to ruin people's lives and their reputations and stalk them at home, maybe just, can you admit, you're a smart guy, can you admit that you're the problem? Or just, maybe stop mentioning me for 10 days and see how you feel? Or just, how about 2 days? How will you feel after not mentioning me for 2 days?
Right. Yeah.
And realize that maybe this is a chemical addiction, or something in your mind isn't right. There's a flaw.
I've had obsession before, though, and I do remember having a hard time shaking it. When it became to someone who is like a political hero, or someone who was a mixed bag, like kind of heroic and kind of terrible. And my theory with my obsessive tendencies were, well, let's just pursue it to the end of the line. But I think my goal was just to run the obsession through its course. Like, you finally got sick of listening to that Pink Floyd album for the whatever time. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, we're sick of it also. It's almost hard to care anymore. It's just there. It's repetitive.
the fable tale, the boy who cried wolf. That's kind of what's going on here. I mean, you cried wolf so many times. You've put out so many fake stories of journalists, especially me, that you're now losing followers at a rapid rate, because people kind of realize that you're just full of shit, and you can't be that big of a victim without, doing something about it. And I don't even think you even contact any judge
It could be a lie. Yeah, right.
You just want to perpetuate the victim narrative. You did call the police. The police basically thought you were a joke and realized that I was of sound mind. And I did record that conversation with the police officer for 20 minutes. Haven't released it publicly, but I can prove to you that, you know, that they don't think I'm a threat or anything. They're not going to watch me at protests. The narrative you're trying to spill out there about me is so false, and it's so wrong, and it's so damaging. Nobody believes you. You're not a victim. They say believe survivors, but what have you survived? You're going after me.
Well, and for me, I did feel traumatized by some of those emails. And there's a part like where I kind of just want to like reach across the aisle and say, Farley, you were wrong. Econ, you were wrong. You were both wrong. It escalated. It needs to stop. That's all my intent was. And when I tried to be a peacemaker, I became the victim of the harassment. Then I got to feel firsthand. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm getting what Farley's going through. No wonder he's so frustrated. No wonder he's lashing out. This is like a pit bull that will not get the teeth out. And I've asked nicely, I've asked politely, I've asked a lawyer to write you a letter, I've asked police to be aware, and you are still not stopping. So
what can you do? I mean,
yeah, just move on. Have a happy life. Move on with having a good life, basically. And
as much as you think that we're concerning and that our issues need to be addressed, you need to be put on notice right now, Econ. People need to be made aware of your relentless stalking, because it's not just going to end with me. It's not going to end with brain garbage.
Well, and who are your next victims? Are they more vulnerable? Because I can stand up to you. I can tell you this is
we're
uncool.
tough. Like, we can handle a lot.
Yeah.
But who's the next victim, or who's the next person you go after to try to turn into a victim, or your abuser, which turns out to be the victim?
Right, and it really does disservice to real survivors, because this constant demonization of this guy you barely know from a few protests. Like, you have this ancient footage from, like, was that 5 months ago or something? And recycling and recycling and recycling.
And it's like every day.
Like an everyday rerun. It's like when my little brother was obsessed with Ben-Hur, and he would just watch it over and over again.
This is the TV land of Twitter.
Yeah, but I think Brendan has a beautiful face. I think he's very iconically beautiful. So that's a part of why I like your feed. I'm not actually obsessed with you, Econ. I'm obsessed with Brendan Farley. So since he is the primary subject of your fan blog, which is like those little cheesy, like back in the day when the Coreys were the two Coreys in the 80s, I'd go to the drugstore and read the boy band blog. They're like a blog, but it's a magazine. And it's just like, it's a fan blog, and I'm a fan. So you make the material, I eat it up. And now I'm a part of it, because I was like, whoa, this is pretty heavy-handed. And maybe that's an artistic observation. And as an American, I'm supposed to just say, stalk away. It's creepy, but you're a creepy journalist. I'm actually torn between my free speech agenda and my, like, please don't be a creepy stalker agenda. And I was actually more inspired by, like, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle standing up against the paparazzi. I love free speech, but the paparazzi are vicious. And Eat Got Breakfast is vicious. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's a good thing that Harry's trying to just tell the British tabloid media to F off. And that you're trying to tell Econ Breakfast to F off. It's good to stand up for yourself when you're being bullied.
I have to. This has affected my life. This might have even affected my housing. There's been assassination threats. Need I say more? Like, this is escalating beyond anything I've ever dealt with in my life. And it's just from one guy who controls basically people who are demented.
Well, and he's not a mob boss. He can't, he's acting as if he can put this big hit on you on Twitter, and now the hit's on me. And, when my grandpa was working for the government, he got harassing phone calls that were so concerning he had to write them up. I showed that to Farley, because I feel like this is kind of the mentality. I was raised to document things, so I think it's important to keep documenting it, and Farley's been doing a good job of documenting it in case it becomes a further concern, or in case you are working for a foreign enemy nation or a malicious actor, or you could be working for a state actor that's malicious, and we really don't know who you are or why you do this, but it's very creepy.
What is your end game here? What is your end game? Do you even know the answer? Like, What? Okay. Is it to get me deplatformed off Twitter?
Yes, he said so.
That's
On his Twitter account, he wants to get you off Twitter. He's pro censorship and anti-fascist. He wants to fascistly censor you and claim to be an anti-fascist at the same time. It's so wonderful.
Well, look, I'll stop tweeting, and I'll just see what happens. If I stop tweeting for a week, will Econ Breakfast lay off me? Even then, no, I don't think so. I think it's gotten to the point where even if successfully I do get off Twitter, this person is so involved in the everyday routine of tweeting about Farley and retweeting about Farley that I have become now a sickness embedded in this person's brain, and I don't even want to be there. I mean, I want you to experience a positive life. This isn't positivity. It's turning you into a goblin.
Well, I think we've gotten pretty long here. Let's stop this one. Thank you, Farley.